He was in the military. He lost his rank as Command Sergeant Major. Why? Because he decided he was going to choose Congress over combat. I don't say these words lightly at all. If you leave your men, your soldiers, your women, whoever they are, under your command, Command Sergeant Major, under his command, if you leave them on the heels of combat, that is an act of cowardice. That is not an act of leadership. It is not an act of somebody that may potentially wear the title of Commander-in-Chief.
And that is Florida Congressman, recipient of the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart, Brian Mast, with me earlier this week, slamming Minnesota Governor Tim Walz over stolen valor accusations. The Harris campaign altered the biography of Governor Walz on their campaign website yesterday, initially listing him as a retired command sergeant major. Walz's early retirement to go run for Congress, causing him to lose that promotion. The campaign now updated the bio to say he served as command sergeant major. But this is not the only time that Walz allegedly embellished his military career. Back in 2004, Walz carried a protest sign claiming that he was part of Operation Enduring Freedom, meaning that he fought in Afghanistan, which he didn't. In 2018, Walz claimed that he carried weapons in war, which he didn't, because he was never at war. Joining me now is Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, a member of the Senate Judiciary, Finance, Commerce, and Veterans Affairs Committees. And, Senator, I know that the Veterans Affairs are very important to you, and of course our great veterans who we look up to, including Governor Walz. What is he saying? What did he do wrong?
Oh, Maria, I think that the embellishment of that record, and I was across the state, over in the east side of the state yesterday, and I had a retired general who brought this up in one of our county meetings because they are so offended that he would embellish this, that he would say he had a certain titling when he did not complete the requirements for that titling, and then he chose to retire early. He had re-upped for 6 years, he chose to retire early, and then he chose to run for Congress. So he just needs to look in the camera and say, this is what I did, this is why I did it, and make some apologies to those that have worn that uniform and have served this country.
Well, I mean, it is offensive, very offensive, especially for somebody like Congressman Brian Mast, who fought in war and lost a limb. Correct. And so many of our other incredibly courageous military men and women. So we'll see if he does do more than just correcting his bio and actually address this. Meanwhile, I want to get your take on this ticket overall, Senator, because Vice President Kamala Harris is campaigning in Phoenix today. She's not expected to visit the actual border, though. We know that all the gotaways go to, Arizona, and yet she doesn't go there. Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, has supported policies like sanctuary cities, providing illegal migrants with health care, driver's licenses, and free college tuition. Back in 2018, Walz also said that he did not want police asking people about their immigration status. He claims Minnesotans are more secure when everyone feels safe to cooperate fully with the police. So I want to get your take on this, because at the time he told CBS News, quote, if your neighbor witnesses someone breaking into your home, you are safer when your neighbor knows their immigration status is not at risk if they call the police. House Judiciary Committee revealed that the Biden-Harris administration has released nearly 100 migrants on the terrorist watch list into the United States. Texas Governor Greg Abbott reacted to that report on X. He writes this: FBI Director Christopher Wray warned the border crisis could lead to another 9/11 terrorist attack. It will be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's fault. Senator, your reaction to all of this?
And I agree with Governor Abbott on that. And Maria, we have to look at the fact that, yes, this week they came out and said there's another 99 terrorists that have been released. We found out that one of the guys that was trying to break into Quantico was on the terrorist watch list. And when it comes to Tim Walz, the fact that he has tried to turn Minnesota into California, has given health care, has given free college tuition, has given driver's licenses. And Maria, here is the danger. People that are in the country illegally that get a driver's license in Minnesota, and then they go to another state and they want to change that driver's license to one in that state, and then they are able to register to vote. This is why you have to have everybody abide by the rule of law. And it is why every state becomes a border state and every town a border town. And when you look at what is happening with these illegal aliens that are going into communities, the number of gangs that are in these communities, and I had one of my sheriffs this week talk to me about the escalation rate of crime that they are seeing. And when they go in to break up one of these drug rings and they find in another room in that house all of this merchandise, it may be chainsaws, it may be weed eaters, it may be personal items from someone's home, but the amount of theft, it is all going together. It makes our countries less safe. And when you look at Harris walls, it is important to realize things may be bad now, but they will be worse with these two because they believe in open borders. They believe in allowing illegal aliens to come into this country without going through the proper process.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm even more concerned about is the fact that Kamala Harris is not giving us any information about what she plans to do. I mean, she's running for president, Senator, and yet we don't know what the plans are, right? President Trump keeps pounding on what he wants to do. He's going to tap into the energy capacity in America. He's going to ensure that we drill, baby, drill, the way he says it. And that's going to take oil prices lower, affect inflation, and also create lots of jobs, high-paying jobs. He keeps talking about, extending the tax cuts, cutting regulation, using tariffs. Kamala has told us nothing about her plans. All we know is about a year ago, she told CNN, there's no question I'm going to ban fracking. She said there's no question everyone should get Medicare for all, including illegals. She hasn't articulated a strategy. You served in the Senate with her, right?
I did. And I have to tell you, Maria, I was so pleased to see President Trump hold that press conference and answer those questions. And as you said, he has a vision for where he would plan to take this country and get us back on track and get inflation down and get the economy going and secure our border and be certain that our allies know they're an ally and that our enemies fear us. And when it comes to Kamala Harris, she is fearful of telling you what she believes because she and her handlers know it is outside of the mainstream of the American people. Medicaid for all, not even Medicare, Medicaid, and doing away with private health insurance, forcing the Green New Deal. These are her beliefs, and she has stated them, and it is going to be up to us to get that message out because the mainstream media is going to coddle her. They're going to allow her to stay in the basement, talk only when she is on a teleprompter, and not engage with the American people.
So when you served with her in the Senate, when she was a senator, did you view her as one of the most liberal senators or the most liberal senator as she's been called?
Oh, yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, in 2019, when I was rated the most conservative member of the U.S. Senate, Kamala was rated the most liberal. And that is something, my MarshaBlackburn.com website, people can go there and pull it down and take a look at it.
Senator, it's great to see you. Thanks very much for joining me this morning.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Senator Marsha Blackburn. Stay with us. We'll be right back.